Big news has shaken the Middle East. In September 2025, something very important happened. Pakistan made a special deal with Saudi Arabia. This deal means Pakistan will use its nuclear weapons to protect Saudi Arabia if needed. This is a very big change for the region. This new agreement did not come from nowhere. It happened because Israel did something surprising. Just before the deal, Israel attacked Qatar. This attack targeted some Hamas leaders in Doha, the capital city of Qatar. Israel used its fighter jets for this attack. This was the first time Israel directly attacked a country in the Gulf region. Many people in the Gulf felt unsafe after this. Because of Israel's attack, Gulf countries started to think differently about their safety. Saudi Arabia felt it needed stronger protection. That is why it made the defense agreement with Pakistan. Pakistan's defense minister said that his country's nuclear power would be there for Saudi Arabia. This changes what people thought about nuclear protection in the Middle East. This new defense deal changes everything. The way power is shared in the Middle East has moved. It is now more dangerous and less clear. Countries in the region are looking at each other in new ways. The future of the Middle East is now uncertain. This agreement creates a new balance of power that could lead to peace or more problems. The world is watching closely to see what will happen next. This is a new time for security in the Middle East. 2. Why did this happen? The deep friendship between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia has a very long history. For many decades, their bond grew strong through close military cooperation and shared religious values. Since the late 1960s, Pakistani soldiers have consistently been stationed in Saudi Arabia. Their vital role was to help protect important oil sites and sacred holy places across the kingdom. Around 1,500 to 2,000 Pakistani military personnel have worked there over time, offering valuable operational, technical, and training support to Saudi forces. In return for this strong defense partnership, Saudi Arabia often helped Pakistan with money, providing billions of dollars to support its foreign exchange reserves when needed. This mutual support formed a bedrock for their alliance. This deep and long-standing relationship took on urgent new importance because of a major event. On September 9th, a shocking military strike happened. Israel attacked Qatar's capital city, Doha. Israeli fighter jets targeted Hamas leaders who were reportedly meeting in a residential compound. This was a critical moment because it marked the very first time Israel had directly attacked a Gulf country. This aggressive strike tragically killed 6 people, including a Qatari security officer and the son of a key Hamas negotiator, sending shockwaves across the region. The attack had a profound and unsettling effect across the entire Gulf region. For decades, the wealthy Gulf Arab states had seen themselves as oases of stability in a troubled Middle East. They had built shiny, fast-growing cities and largely trusted in the United States to keep them secure. But Israel's direct strike on Doha shattered this long-held feeling of safety. It clearly showed that even the wealthiest and most diplomatically connected Gulf states were not immune to sudden, direct military action. This deep sense of insecurity quickly pushed the Arab nations to unite in a powerful new way. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman immediately spoke against Israel's brutal aggression and promised that Riyadh would stand with Doha without limit. Within just a few days, the Gulf Cooperation Council, or GCC, activated its joint defense mechanism for the very first time in its history. They declared that an attack on one member would now be seen as an attack on all. This historic moment fundamentally changed how the region thought about its own security and led directly to the new defense agreement. 3. The nuclear deal. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia made an important agreement called a Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement. This deal means Pakistan will offer a nuclear umbrella to Saudi Arabia. A nuclear umbrella is when a country with nuclear weapons promises to use them to protect another country if that country is attacked. It is like a big shield that keeps a non-nuclear country safe from strong threats, helping it feel more secure without needing its own nuclear weapons. Pakistan has its own nuclear weapons. Experts believe Pakistan has around 170 nuclear warheads. These are different kinds of nuclear weapons, including ballistic missiles that can travel long distances. Pakistan calls its nuclear plan full-spectrum deterrence. This means they have both small battlefield weapons and larger, more powerful ones. These weapons can reach targets across the Middle East, showing Pakistan's strong defense power. On September 18, 2025, Pakistan's Defense Minister, Khawaja Mohammad Asif, officially stated that his country's nuclear power will be made available to Saudi Arabia under this new agreement. This promise turned what many people only guessed about into a clear policy. It fundamentally changed how powerful countries in the region thought about their safety and future plans. This agreement is very important for Saudi Arabia. It gives them nuclear protection without having to build their own nuclear weapons. This means Saudi Arabia can feel more secure without breaking international rules against spreading nuclear weapons. The country remains a part of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. This path allows them to have defense without the high risks and costs of owning nuclear weapons themselves. The defense minister also suggested that this agreement could be offered to other nations in the Gulf area. He said, "We have no intention of using this pact for any aggression, but if the parties are threatened, then obviously this arrangement will become operative." If this happens, it could mean that more countries in the Gulf might get nuclear protection from Pakistan. This new deal changes the power balance in the region. 4. Israel and the Arab world. Israel attacked Qatar on September 9, aiming to strike Hamas leaders who were meeting in the capital city of Doha. The operation involved 15 Israeli fighter jets. They launched 10 precision missiles at a residential compound, hitting their target. 6 people lost their lives in the attack, including a Qatari security officer and the son of Hamas's chief negotiator, Khalil al-Hayya. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that this was an entirely independent Israeli operation. While the strike clearly demonstrated Israel's strong military reach, it also highlighted how isolated Israel was in its actions within the region. However, the attack did not fully succeed in its main goal. The key Hamas leaders it targeted survived. This military strike was significant because it was the first time Israel had ever directly attacked a Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC) member nation. This event deeply shocked the wealthy Gulf Arab states who had long felt secure in their region. The feeling of safety that many had enjoyed for decades was shattered. The attack also came at a sensitive time, as Qatar was working as a main mediator for a United States-backed ceasefire proposal between Israel and Hamas for Gaza. The reaction from the Gulf was swift and unified. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman strongly condemned what he called Israel's brutal aggression against Qatar. He promised that Riyadh would support Doha without limit. Soon after, the Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC) activated its Joint Defense Mechanism for the first time in its history. This move signaled a strong, united front, declaring that an attack on one GCC member would be considered an attack on all. Beyond the Gulf, the broader Arab and Islamic world responded with an unprecedented level of unity. An emergency summit was quickly arranged and held in Doha. More than 50 leaders from various nations gathered there. Together, they issued a unified condemnation of Israel's actions. Qatar's emir, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, gave a powerful warning about Prime Minister Netanyahu's expansionist ambitions. He described the idea of turning the Arab world into an Israeli sphere of influence as a dangerous illusion. This wide-ranging, unified response meant that Israel's attack, instead of weakening its opponents, actually pushed the Arab and Islamic world to stand together in a powerful new way. 5. America's difficult problem. The United States now faces a very hard problem. America has been a close friend to Israel for a long time. It also has strong ties with both Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. These important relationships make the new situation in the Middle East very difficult for Washington. The U.S. must balance these different friendships, which now pull in separate directions due to recent events. For many years, the U.S. has helped protect countries in the Gulf region. These allies believed America would keep them safe. But Israel's recent attack on Qatar changed how these allies see America's protection. U.S. officials did not know about the attack before it happened. This lack of warning made some Gulf countries question if they could still fully rely on America for their safety. They started to think about other ways to get strong defense. The new nuclear defense deal between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia is a clear sign of this growing doubt. Saudi Arabia chose to get nuclear protection from another country, not the U.S. This choice is new and shows a major shift in how allies view American guarantees. The nuclear pact also goes against a very important goal for America: stopping more countries from getting nuclear weapons. America has worked hard to prevent nuclear weapons from spreading. Pakistan's nuclear program grew during the Cold War, with some U.S. acceptance at that time to balance power. But now, Pakistan offering its nuclear umbrella to Saudi Arabia creates new worries. This move makes America's long-term plan to stop nuclear weapons from spreading in the Middle East much harder to achieve. It presents a serious challenge to American efforts for non-proliferation globally. American leaders have been mostly quiet about this nuclear agreement. They have not said much in public about Pakistan's nuclear protection for Saudi Arabia. This silence shows that Washington is thinking deeply and trying to understand the complex changes. The U.S. government is currently unsure how to respond to this new reality. The deal itself does not break any official U.S. agreements. However, it complicates America's goals for stopping nuclear weapons and challenges America's wider strategy for peace in the region. Finding a way forward that keeps its friends and its own goals safe will be a very complex challenge for the United States. 6. A dangerous game. The new defense deal between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia has greatly changed things for Iran. Iran and Saudi Arabia are longtime rivals in the Middle East, often competing for influence. For many years, Iran has been developing its nuclear program. Experts believe Iran is now very close to having the ability to produce its own nuclear weapons if its leaders make that decision. This closeness is a significant concern for many nations globally. Now, with Saudi Arabia receiving nuclear protection from Pakistan, Iran faces a serious and direct new challenge. This new situation could strongly push Iran to feel that it must build its own nuclear bomb. Iranian leaders might see developing nuclear weapons as the only way to fully protect their country against Saudi Arabia, which now has nuclear backing from a powerful neighbor. This adds immense pressure on Iran to finalize its nuclear capabilities. Many people around the world deeply fear a nuclear cascade. This is a worrying scenario where, if Iran finally acquires nuclear weapons, other powerful nations in the region might quickly follow suit. Countries such as Turkey and Egypt, for example, possess the technical know-how and financial resources to start their own nuclear programs. They might decide that having nuclear weapons is essential to ensure their security and maintain their power in this new, unpredictable Middle East. This would spark a dangerous chain reaction across the entire region. If more and more countries in the Middle East start to get nuclear weapons, the entire region could enter a terrifying new arms race. This means every nation would constantly try to acquire more advanced and destructive weapons, including nuclear ones, to match or surpass its neighbors. This intense competition for military power would make the Middle East much more unstable and dangerous than ever before. With more nuclear weapons in the hands of more countries, the risk of terrible conflicts, even by accident, becomes much higher. This new reality creates immense worry and uncertainty for millions of people living in the region and for the peace of the world. 7. The world is watching. The new nuclear defense deal between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia made the whole world pay attention. Many powerful countries started to watch the Middle East more closely. This agreement changed how global powers thought about safety in the region. India, a country that has been a rival to Pakistan for a long time, faced a tricky situation. India is also a very important trading partner for Saudi Arabia. After the deal was announced, India's Ministry of External Affairs officially stated that it would look closely at what this new agreement meant for its own national safety. It would also consider its impact on peace in the region and around the world. India had also been making stronger connections with Israel. This put India in a hard place. It needed to keep its good relationships with both Arab nations, like Saudi Arabia, and Israel, even though these two sides were in conflict. India's large trade with the kingdom made it want to stay neutral. However, the changing politics might force India to make difficult decisions. China's power and influence in the Middle East continued to grow because of this deal. China had already shown its importance when it helped bring Iran and Saudi Arabia closer in the past. Now, China was Saudi Arabia's biggest trading partner. This meant China had replaced the United States in this key economic role. This strong business relationship between China and Saudi Arabia laid the groundwork for possible security cooperation. While China usually does not offer military help far from its borders, this new nuclear agreement could benefit China by making countries in the region less dependent on the United States for their safety. Russia also saw new chances in these changes in power. Russia has long-standing ties with Iran, and its connections with Pakistan were also getting stronger. These relationships gave Russia more ways to influence the nuclear situation in the Middle East. Russia has its own strong views on nuclear power and a history of being willing to use nuclear threats. This could make Russia an appealing partner for countries in the region that are looking for different security options, away from the influence of the United States. Overall, the old ways that countries formed alliances were becoming weaker. Many nations were now looking for new friends and new ways to protect themselves. These new partnerships were not always easy to guess or understand. This showed a bigger shift in world power, where many countries, not just a few, held important influence. This made the future of the Middle East and even global safety much less clear and harder to predict. 8. What happens next? The Middle East has changed greatly. A new and unsure time has begun. Pakistan now protects Saudi Arabia with its nuclear weapons. This came after Israel attacked Qatar. This deal has made some people feel safer. It gives Saudi Arabia a strong defense without making its own nuclear bombs. This could lead to a calm time, a fragile peace, because countries might be too scared to attack each other. But there is also a big danger. This new nuclear deal could cause a terrible war. Iran, a rival of Saudi Arabia, might now want its own nuclear weapons even more. Other countries like Turkey or Egypt might also want nuclear weapons. This could start a dangerous arms race. More nuclear weapons in the region make everything more risky. The world today is different from the Cold War. In the Cold War, there were rules, even if they were dangerous. The big countries like the United States and Russia knew how to deal with nuclear threats. They had ways to talk and avoid big problems. Now, these old rules are not there. There are many more countries with nuclear power or nuclear protection. This makes the situation very hard to manage. Because of this, the international community must be very careful. Leaders all over the world need to work together. They must find ways to stop more countries from getting nuclear weapons. They also need to make sure that no country uses these terrible weapons. The choices made by leaders now are very important. The lives of millions of people depend on these choices. They live in the Middle East and beyond. A wrong step could mean a disaster for everyone. Do you think this nuclear deal will make the Middle East safer or more dangerous?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.